Hello, in this activity I'm going to show you how to do the Snow Flakes project. I already have a form app called Snow Flakes, so I'm going to call mine Snow Flakes 2 and see if that works. Or I already have a Snow Flakes 2, so I'll make a Snow Flakes 3. And there we go, and there's my blank form. So first thing I'm going to do is, that always drives me crazy when I see form 1 as the name of the form. So I'm going to change the name of the form to be Snowflakes Evan Wright or something. There we go. Okay, and then let's go import the resources for this project. I went to Project, Properties, Resources, then Add Existing Files, and let's go grab. For you, they'll be in the zip file or out on the T drive if you're at Technology Center at DuPage. And let's see, which one is it? It's the background and the flake. Those are the two you want. There we go. So those are our resources. Now let's go to back to our form, and I'm going to add a picture box. Picture box. Whee! There we go. And let's make that 800 by 450. Or what we can do is let's go in here. Yeah, let's just do that. We'll go into the properties and set the size to be 800 by 450. I'm down here in the properties. And then let's set the background image to be our background. We don't want to set the image, we want to set the background image. There we go. There's our nice image. Okay, and then we also need a timer on our form. So let's pull up our toolbox, get a timer, put that on our form somewhere. There we go, there's our timer. And let's double click on that to have it create the timer tick event. And we also need a paint event on our picture box. So if I go to the lightning bolt, that's for the events, and I double click on the paint area right here, you'll see I get a paint event handler. So in my tick event, what I'm going to do is invalidate the picture box, and that will trigger the paint event. All right, so that's all you need to do as far as setup work. Now the rest of this is how to make the snowflake and get the snowflakes to fall. The snowflake is going to be a separate class. We could add the snowflake as a separate file. We could do that. We go to add class, that would add a new file. We could also just put the snowflake right in here. That'll be just a touch easier. And I'm just going right out of the document here. So to make a class that's going to represent one of our snowflakes, we just type the word class and hit tab twice, and we get a stub for a class, and I'm going to call mine snowflake. Snowflake. And we want a constructor for our snowflake class, so let's make one. We just type CTOR, tab, and we get a public constructor. Okay, and now we can add the properties or variables or properties to the class. So let's have an integer called x, an integer called y, and a random number generator. Random, I'll call it rand equals new random. And if I have 1,000 snowflakes, do they all need to share the same random number generator? The answer is no. So I'm going to make it static. They can share one, right? They don't need their own copies. All right, so in here, what am I going to do? I'm going to set the x to rand.next 800, because that's the width of my picture box, and I'm going to set the y coordinate to somewhere between 0 and 450. That's the height of the picture box. And I need a variable called speed, int speed. There we go. And we're going to set that to a random number between 2 and 4. So speed equals rand.next 2 to 4, right? So now I get 2 or 3. Actually, I could say 2 to 5. Either, it doesn't really matter. All right. And then what else do we need? We need a move function and a draw function. So a snowflake knows this. This is our function for building the snowflake. And now what we need are some public functions that the form can use to make the snowflakes move and make the snowflakes draw themselves. So the move function is going to have to be public, so the form can access it. It'll be void move, boom. And now if the y coordinate of the snail, or not of the snail, sorry, of the snowflake, is greater than the bottom of the screen, then set the y back to, I don't know, let's put it above the screen, negative 32 or something, or 0. 0 would make it kind of pop to the top of the screen. That would be okay. Could set it to negative 50 or something, and then it'll kind of gradually crawl back onto the screen. There we go. So that's all it does. Sorry. Y, and we have to move. I didn't move yet. Y plus equals speed. There you go. So move down the screen. Move down. Loop. Right. So if I go off the bottom, put myself back at the top. That's it. Okay. It's a public function for moving any snowflake, a particular snowflake. All right. And now let's make a void function for drawing. Now, notice that the snowflake does not know or have access to the drawing surface on which it needs to draw itself. That will be supplied by the form. And that in C# is called a graphics object. In Java, that's your canvas. In C++, that's your device context. All right, so let's draw ourselves on that graphics context. So we'll say g.drawImage. And what picture are we going to use? Well, we're going to use the one that we imported, properties.resources.flake. And then where do we draw ourselves? Well, we know where to draw ourselves. That's our x and our y coordinate. Every snowflake has its own x and y coordinate, right? These are instance variables. Every instance of the snowflake class has their own copies of those. But they're sharing one of those, right? That's this is a static or a class variable. These are instance variables. All right. And that's it. That's all we have to do for our snowflake. All right, so now let's go back to the form. And in our form class, now we need a list of snowflakes. List. Now don't worry if you don't understand how to do this because we haven't gotten the lists yet. List of snowflake, and I'll call it flakes, equals new list of type snowflake. There we go. All right, and now I just need to add, like make 100 snowflakes. I'll use a for loop for that. And then I'll make I'll say flakes.add. And then in here, I'm going to make a new snowflake. New snowflake. So there we are. We're calling our snowflake's public constructor. That's returning us an object, and we're stuffing that object into the add function. If that's a little bit confusing for you, maybe you'll do it in two steps. Make a new snowflake, put the snowflake in the list, something like that. Okay. Now, in our timer tick function, we're going to tell all the snowflakes to move. Again, don't worry if you don't understand this code because we haven't gotten to loops yet, at least at the COD class. So for every snowflake, s in flakes, s.move. Right, so we're going to tell every snowflake in our list of flakes to move, right? This is the public move function that we made down here. Every snowflake class instance exposes that public move function. The public functions make up its interface. And then to draw, same deal. For every snowflake in the list, tell the snowflake to draw itself. Now why can't I draw the snowflake? p.graphics. Why does that not work? Did I not make it public? Public void. Oh, I called it drawing. Draw. Don't do drawing. That was bad. I don't know why that did that. Okay. So tell every snowflake to draw itself. And there's one thing I'm forgetting here. After we move all the snowflakes, we want to trigger the paint event. So to trigger the paint event, we need to tell the picture box that it has been invalidated. That will trigger the paint event and cause a refresh. Now the very last thing we do is, if we run this, I don't think anything's going to happen. Maybe we'll see the snowflakes, but I don't think they're going to draw, or they're going to move. There we go, very pretty. However, the snowflakes aren't moving, and that's because we never enabled our timer. So let's go back to our timer, and on our timer, let's find the properties and say that it is enabled. Set that to true. And what else? I don't know, how fast is it supposed to tick? 30? Let's take a look there. And run it, and boom. Wow, pretty winter landscape. It's so pretty. You know what we should also do is have some Christmas or winter music, holiday music playing in the background. There you go. Isn't that cool? All right, there you go. That's how to make the snowflakes. The important takeaway there, though, is that we did not have all our logic in the form. We made a separate class, the class being the blueprint or template for an object. That class has instance variables. Every instance of that class gets its own copy of those, and it has public functions. These public functions form that object's interface that other objects can call to make those snowflakes do something. All right, there you go. Hopefully that was illustrative, and if you have any questions on this activity, just ask.